man. We're back with another reflection on the Daily Vedantic. Today's episode is on how to feel good. What does the most ancient of philosophies, predates philosophy that we know of in the West by a couple thousand years, with the Rig Veda in 2016 it was a portion of it was dated back to 6000 BC. We really have no idea how old this philosophy is, but we know that it is ancient. But what we don't know is just how practical it is. That's what we're constantly exploring with these episodes, or anyone that's studied Vedanta knows just how insanely practical it is. As you see your life just go from effortful to effortless. And many of our listeners, maybe you have asked yourself, how does everyone not know about this? The practicality comes to a head with a topic like how to feel good. And it can be summed up by something that Swami says all the time at the ashram: nothing feels as good as doing what you ought to do. Sit with that statement for a little while. Question it like crazy. Really, nothing feels as good as doing what you ought to do? Kick the tires and experiment with it in your life. When have you felt the best? In the last week, the last month, when have you felt your best? And maybe you've had glimpses of feeling good for a second and then sat with a price like a literal hangover or a physical, emotional hangover from doing the wrong thing. I know I did the impulsive thing today with my daughter. We were surfing and we were going in. I was like, I want her to get, she's 6, our oldest daughter. I want her to get one wave before we go in, just to spark that excitement to want to keep going out. We'd spent the whole day in the water, but she hadn't jumped up on a wave yet. And I'm coming back in to do some work and get started my day. And I'm like, you know what? We're right here. Let's just get her on the board. She's got her wetsuit on. We've already been out there for a little while. Let's try to get her on a small little white water wave. And I was like, these are a little heavy. Let's just, we could just call it a day and say it was great just to be out there and keep it uneventful. And it was great that she was even in the water, but I said, you know what, let's press it. Let's try to get that lightning in a bottle. That is the feeling of riding a wave before we go in, because we've done 99.9% of the work already. We're here. Fast forward 30 seconds later, she is hysterically bawling. I'm even kind of scared because I'm scared of the board. It's going to hit her. We get smacked by what looked like a small, medium-sized wave right near the shore, and it just had way more power than I thought. The board flipped up over her. She tumbled. Luckily, she did not get hit by the board. Her head went right into the sand, and yeah, it turns out the impulsive thing, the greedy thing it's not how you end up with a great surf sesh. That's not how you feel good. When I think about the last week, the moments where I felt best, it's after recording these, even in the midst of a lengthy to-do list. It's after hosting people over for a Venice. Every first Friday we have people over for a Venice Vedanta Club. VVC is what we call it. And within the Venice Vedanta Club, it's just hosting people here to talk about this philosophy. And each time I go into it knowing it's going to be fun, it's going to be with great satsang, great community. But I always underestimate just how fulfilling it is to create that space for a community to come together. Always underestimate it. That's Oftentimes doing what you ought to do is that simple of, oh yeah, I'm going to enjoy this too. Or doing the cold plunge for 4 minutes in 42-degree water. Feel amazing on the other side. A big part of that equation could be just that's what doing something like that does. It makes you feel amazing. But I'd argue the majority of the equation is actually doing what you just know. Okay, that's a gift to my body that my mind does not want to give, but my intellect is jumping in and saying, nope, we're doing this. I could have given that gift to my daughter and not doing the impulsive thing, letting a good day be a good day, not trying to make it a great day, not trying to get greedy in the last moments and just shoehorn something else in. Instead, I gave her probably a slightly traumatic experience that just set the whole equation back of getting her comfortable on waves by a few weeks. Talk about how not to feel good. So you're just at that roulette table knowing I should leave, and you just say, no, double up, double my money. I'm winning a little bit. Let me double it all in work, in casinos, in relationships or experiences with your family. You do that enough times and it's just, in fact, Shakespearean tragedies almost always go back to one huge misstep. And that one misstep, that one mistake ends up where everyone's dead. Macbeth listening to Lady Macbeth saying, hey, you should be king, actually. Fast forward a few minutes and everyone is dead on that stage. That's how not to feel good, is not doing what we ought to do, doing the impulsive things. So see if it actually fits in your life. If this is how your experience is. Not because some ancient philosophy says it, certainly not because some dude on the internet says it. But over the next few days, few weeks, later today, do something that you know you ought to do. Do something that you know you ought to do. And see how you feel on the other side. So how to feel good for the rest of your life? Just keep doing things that you ought to do. Surrender to a duty-bound existence. And feeling good is all you'll feel. It is not complicated. It does not mean it isn't hard. Bench pressing 500 pounds isn't complicated. It's simple. But that does not mean it's easy. But at least you and I, we have the benefit. If you reflect on this, you feel like it's true, at least you know the map, the directions, the very simple directions of how to get where we're all trying to go. At least you'll know how to feel good. That's today's reflection on the Daily Vedantic. We'll see you next time.